Hey everyone, this is Turd Flinging Monkey. Welcome to part 4 of the Zen of Zero Fucks Given. This is going to be a follow-up to part 3, Perspective. And I'm going to be responding to 3 specific comments that I thought were noteworthy enough to base a video on. So the first one reads, quote, "You failed to address some very important questions concerning how a man is able to give true expression of his will. In modern society, no one is free from the coercive effects of culture, media, and propaganda. A person cannot help but define his beliefs and aspirations with reference to his immediate environment. As a MGTOW, you should be aware that this can have deleterious consequences for the individual. In an overtly gynocentric or traditional society, a man can be forgiven for thinking that his purpose lies in having a family, and that this is an expression of his true will. Of course, nothing could be further from the truth. The question is, how does a man escape the ever-pervasive influence of his society, and how would he know if he had?" Unquote. So to answer your question, a man can think. And once you see it, it's like the Matrix. You can't unsee it. Once you see like the green code, you see it everywhere. Now I think the question behind your question is, where does instinct stop and social construct begin? And I think in this, maybe I'm wrong, the way I approach it is I look at animals. If animals do it, and because animals don't have the advanced brains as humans, they don't have any concept of government or media or propaganda or feminism, they're just living on instincts. If animals do it, it's safe to assume that it's an instinct. If no animal does it, if it's specifically something only humans do, and it's not universal, like humans all over the world don't do it, only humans in specific cultures and regions and ethnicities do it, then it's pretty safe to say that it's a social construct specific to that culture or ethnicity or whatever. Now, the desire to have a family is an instinct. Animals do it. It's why animals don't go extinct. So I don't think the desire to have a family is some kind of social construct. I think the desire to marry is a social construct because marriage doesn't exist in nature. In fact, marriage differs from culture and region and ethnicity, so it can't be an instinct. It can only be a social construct. In fact, the nature of marriage has changed over time as culture has changed. Nobody in their right mind would argue that marriage is an instinct, but the desire to have a family is an instinct. I mean, not for everyone, not everyone likes kids, but instincts operate off of pleasure and pain. Things that promote survival and reproduction cause pleasure. Things that don't cause pain. This is why some people, when they see a baby, like, oh, what a cute little baby. That's their instinct saying, oh, babies are cute. Why don't you have a baby? Follow your instincts. It all works on pleasure and pain. But marriage is just a hoop that society has created for men to jump through, promise to take care of a woman for the rest of her life in order to facilitate that desire. And it's total bullshit, and it's gotten more and more bullshit by the day. But to return to your original question, it's fairly easy to shake off the social constructs of your culture, to realize that your culture is setting you up for failure and sacrifice. I've done several videos on the matrix of tribal identity that talk specifically about this, and I've also done several TFM news videos about how traditionalists make these articles about trying to promote men to sacrifice themselves for society. That a man has no worth unless he's living for others, unless he's sacrificing himself for others, and that's total bullshit. As long as a woman shits out a few kids, she lived a full life. But a man, oh, he has to sacrifice himself. Oh, he has to give back. Fuck you. You can't really get rid of your instincts. You can't get rid of your instincts any more than women can become Nawalts by purging themselves of hypergamy. It's just not going to happen. The best you can do is be aware of your instincts and not give in to them. Just like if you're dieting and you're trying to lose weight, you're going to have cravings for junk food. You can't just like snap your fingers and do away with these cravings. All you can do is resist them. So, that's the best I got. Now on a somewhat related note, the next comment reads, quote, "There is a thing that is more valuable than health, freedom, possessions, or any knowledge or skill that you have. Honor. Without it, all the rest is smoke. If you are not well regarded by your peers, if you are not a member in good standing in your profession, if in your social circle your name is mud, all the wealth, all the knowledge in the world are not going to make you happy. Humans are social animals. We need the approval of others to be truly content. You may say that it does not matter to you. I agree 100%. To you, it may not matter. Now go ask the rest of what is in your head. You may not need social approval, but the rest of your brain craves it. Always remember that you are a very small part of what makes the individual human we all know and react to. Always remember you are a number of routines running in a brain. There are others which you are not consciously aware, and they have more to do with how you behave, who you react to, and how you believe. Believe it or not, the truth is you are not master of your brain and body. The ego, what you call self, is a newcomer, and the rest are not sure it's a welcome addition. They may decide it's worth its feed, or they may decide to scrap it. Just so long as we are clear, don't go thinking we are masters of all we survey. We all have routines running in our brains that dictate what we think and how in any given situation. Alright, so this guy, I don't even know where to start. So yes, to repeat myself, we have instincts, that's what you're talking about. We have instincts running within our lizard brain, which compel us through pleasure and pain to engage in certain activities which are hardwired into our instincts. So what? We have higher brain functions that we could resist them. Now of course these instincts, if you don't follow them, they will induce a pain response. So if you're not fulfilling your biological function, you're going to get chemicals in your brain that are going to make you feel sad and lonely and so forth. So what you do, and again I'm going to just use the same analogy, like when you're trying to diet and lose weight, you're going to get these cravings. It's your body trying to get you to do something that you don't want to do. So what do you do when you have these cravings? You can't just sit there and think about it. You have to do something else to get your mind off of it. If you're a fatso on a diet, and you're just trying really hard not to think about chocolate cake, all you're going to think about is chocolate cake. And then before you know it, you're going to be baking a cake, and then you're going to be eating the entire cake. And then you're going to be wondering, oh, how did this happen? Now, instead of when those thoughts of chocolate cake came into your mind, if you ate a salad, or if you went for a walk, if you did something to get your mind off of it, you'd be fine. But I also want to say, fuck honor. Fuck honor right in its ass. Here's the problem with honor. Honor is defined by the culture. The culture decides what is honorable. I mean, just use one example from Japan. The samurai were the great honorable warriors of Japan. Now, if you fail the mission, doesn't matter what the odds were, like you could have been outnumbered 10 to 1. You're just supposed to charge in and die. Now, if you just do the common sense thing and leave because you can't beat 10 guys at the same time, then you're supposed to disembowel yourself to maintain your honor. Now think of all the training that went into a samurai, all the years of training, education, the heritage. And because of one retarded mission that they failed, they have to disembowel themselves or just throw themselves into battle until they're dead. That's honor. Nobody remembers these samurai who disemboweled themselves. Their names are forgotten. Their deeds are forgotten. Oh, but they had their honor. Fuck honor. Now he also talks about that we're social creatures, and I agree. And there's nothing prohibiting me from cooperating. There's just to be something in it for me. I'm not just going to cooperate because I'm lonely, because I want someone around me, so I'm going to sacrifice and cooperate with them with nothing in return just to feel like I belong. That's slave morality. If you want my cooperation, then you need to make it worth my while. I will cooperate. I'm all about cooperation. I mean, you look at the MGTOW community. We obviously cooperate. There is infighting, obviously, but by and large we cooperate because we have shared goals and because we benefit one another. You make a video, you share your knowledge, people benefit from it, and the community grows. I don't give a shit whether my peers regard me as great or whether my name is mud. I really, really don't care. The only thing that I care in that situation is how is this going to negatively affect my life. For example, I was falsely accused of rape in high school. That destroyed my social life. It wasn't the fact that I had a reputation as a falsely accused rapist that kept me up at night and caused me anxiety. It was the consequences of that caused me anxiety. Because friends abandoned me. I mean, God forbid I tried to ask a girl out. So it was the consequences of this bad reputation that pissed me off. Not the actual label, not being regarded or my name being mud. It was the consequences, because it negatively affected my life. That's what I cared about. I mean, that's why I'm worried about being doxxed. I don't care what people think. But I do care about the consequences of having those labels, getting fired, being homeless, that kind of stuff. And that has nothing to do with honor. And the rest of your comment about the ego and all these different parts of your body, your instincts and your lower brain functions are not consciousness. Animals operate on instinct. They're fucking animals. They don't think. You as a human being can think. Your brain is more advanced. Your lower brain functions aren't going to be like, well, we don't like you, higher brain function, because your ego, we're going to get rid of you. This isn't inside out. It's not like your emotions and thoughts have personifications inside your head, and they have wacky misadventures. You control your body. You're the one typing on your keyboard. You're the one clicking on my videos. Now, the last comment I'm going to respond to reads, ever since I can remember, I've been the same. I have a goal, I have a passion. My passion is art. Every kind of visual art, 3D, digital painting, concept, all that shit. And it's actually enough to fill my time. It's so much material that I can literally spend all day drawing and studying composition, color, anatomy, whatnot. When I was little, I used to want to be liked by the cool kids, but after a few rejections, I got pissed off and blew them off. But a few years later, whenever they would invite me to parties and things like that, I never went. But the reason is not that I didn't want to go. I would love to hang out with some of them, but I didn't want to give them the satisfaction of thinking that getting drunk and having tons of sex is something worth pursuing. It's a weird position. I hope you can understand it. But I was driven. I have something higher in my life, my art. I think I had gotten on the road for self-worth position at that point. But the problem is I started recently to feel that this is an unhealthy way of viewing everything. And I have a bad feeling that in the end, when I'm old and gray and a brilliant artist, I will still feel empty and regretful for not having the kinds of relationships others do. I started feeling like I'm missing out again, but at the same time I don't want to be manipulated. Never have been, never want to be. Don't you ever feel the same way? I'm sure you have your buddies, but mine are going to start getting married soon. I can tell because all their #1 goals are women. And we're kind of separating ways. Your buddies won't be there for you all the time, and loving a woman is not the same as a group of dudes. How do you handle these thoughts? Peace. So let me just break this comment down a little bit at a time. So you start out talking about you have your passion, your art, and you don't care about being liked. You don't really even care about going to parties and just having meaningless sex. And that's great. That means you are on the way. In fact, I think you might actually be closer to the pinnacle than you may think. Now, towards the end, you talk about how you're second-guessing yourself. You're wondering if the way you're living your life is unhealthy. There was this girl I used to know, and we dated for a little bit. That's not really important to the story. Other girls would constantly tell her that she's too skinny. They're like, oh, you're too skinny. You need to, eat more or something like that. And it was just her biology. She just had a really fast metabolism. She was athletic and stuff like that. But she was like a healthy skinny. She wasn't like anorexic. But of course, the girls who struggled with their weight would constantly give her a hard time, telling her she needed to gain some weight and put some meat on her bones and all that stuff. But behind closed doors, they were all jealous of her because she could easily maintain her figure, whereas they had to constantly struggle with diet and exercise because their metabolism wasn't as good. When you're on the road to self-actualization and meaning and purpose, people are going to come into your life and try to pull you down because they're miserable. They're not finding the satisfaction you're finding. And they're going to tell you things like, oh, when you're old and gray, you're going to regret not giving half your shit to a woman. What are you going to do with all this shit? You better give half of it to a woman if you want to be happy. It doesn't make any sense. And I've done videos about dying alone. I've done these videos before. I've talked about these issues. If you're content with your life, don't let anyone tell you you shouldn't be happy. Listen to people's advice. They might have something good to say. And when it comes to your friends abandoning you as they have families, that's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. It's actually one of the big benefits of the YouTube MGTOW community. Very hard to find like-minded individuals, whereas the internet, it allows us to find each other. It may not be the same thing. It'd be great if we all lived really close together. We could just walk to each other's houses and hang out. That'd be awesome. But in the meantime, this is better than nothing. Anyway, that concludes the follow-up video for perspective. The next subject we'll be talking about is attachment. Hope to see you there. This is Turd Flinging Monkey. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.